Hiya fam. Today let's dive into chapter 2 of the Vennstravaganza series. If you are not sure what that is, please do feel free to check out the intro video, which is basically just a quick explanation as to what it is and how we got here. Basically just that method to the madness. The most requested brand for us to cover next was the Prima Marketing watercolor confection sets. There's a lot of them though. There's a lot of different sets. Not all of them were easy to find the pigment info for. So I did have to do a little bit of homework for it. And I realized that there was a lot of overlap with the Jane Davenport sets. And by a lot, I mean a lot. So we're just gonna do both. It will get weird, but it's a good weird. So let's take a peek. Vennception, a Venn diagram of Venn diagrams, or well, technically of future Venn diagrams. You know, this made sense to me when I was drawing it, for what it's worth. So anyways, let us start with the bulk of the pigments that are included. So if I were to look at this list, so the pigments including PB15:3, PB27, PB29, PB81, PBK9, PG7, PO13, PR101, PR112, PR170, PR48:4, PR57:1, PR81, PV23, PW20, PW6, PY14, PY3, PY42, PY6, PY83, pale gold, and rich gold. So, this list, this is the exact list of pigments that are included in the Jane Davenport Brights, Neutrals, and Glitz-Sea sets. This is also the exact list of pigments that are in the Prima Marketing, the Classics, Tropicals, Decadent Pies, and Pastel Dreams. So, interesting. If we wanted to add PBK7 to this mix, that will add 3 more sets to the list. The Odyssey, Woodlands, and Essence sets. If you wanted to add the PBK7 and Gold, that's going to add the Prima Complexion set. And then if you wanted to add the Gold and Pearl, that's going to give you, that's going to include the Prima Shimmering Lights set. So, interesting. Very interesting. These may come from the same parent company. I cannot say with absolute certainty. But let's take a look. So the irony is also not lost on me. I know that many artists bought these sets specifically for the tins, and they never really bothered with the paints. And I mean, to each their own. I do not put the milk in your cereal. I will not tell you how to live your life. Like, you do you. But if you are one of those artists who just hasn't played with the paints that you got, do enjoy this breakdown of what you're missing out on. So, the tentative plan, I am going to focus on the 7 sets that ultimately have the same pigment list between the 2 brands. So today, once I stop rambling, we are going to address the Jane Davenport Brights set. Then we will cover the other Jane Davenport sets, compare all 3. Then we will cover the 4 Prima sets, compare all 4, and then combine all 7 into one big, beautiful Venn diagram. But if there is popular demand, and if you guys are not just absolutely sick and tired of looking at these paints specifically, we can also see what happens when we add the PBK7 to the mix. and functionally, it will unlock, if you will, the Odyssey, Woodlands, and Essence sets too. So in that case, if you did want to do that, we would then take a look at these sets, compare the 3, and then the big beautiful Venn is going to list 10 sets instead of 7. So it will, it will get crazy. I am in the process of drawing these out right now, and it's bonkers. So if you want to do that, do let me know. Either way, it is going to build up to a point where it's going to be good. Each set has 12 paints in it. So definitely, I don't want to bore you to death, you know, in a sense of lingering on these, but especially if you do want to see where the overlap is, and make sure, you know, even if it is something, if you're just interested in these and we want to pick, say, just 1 or 2 and make sure that we get the most versatile set available, we can do that. So do let me know. And as a friendly reminder, so if you do want to see the high-res scans of these pages, please do check out my blog at gingersnapshot.wordpress.com. I did leave a link in the description for you. I am going to have everything uploaded for your viewing pleasure. So let's stop rambling. Let's get into it. So the Jane Davenport Brights. Now, a couple things. So first, I have not gotten my hands on these paints yet. I already have an arrangement. I just haven't received them. So for the moment, all of the colors that are listed here, they're just the closest duplicates that I have on hand. I am going to very clearly mark this. I have my fun little disclaimer that this is basically just a color study. Don't take these swatches in a sense of, you know, I can't review them, and it's not exactly as they will appear if you get the real set. This is what we're working with. The other thing, so the Prima paints are numbered by the manufacturer. So, for instance, the Prima Classics set is, each paint it does have a name, but it is also assigned a number, so 1 through 12 in that instance. So just to make my life easier and to make this part easier, I have assigned arbitrarily, just Roman numerals for the Jane Davenport paints, just so this process goes a little smoother if possible. And then what I'm thinking of doing, just because now that there's single pigment paints in the mix and whatnot, I just kind of faintly filled these in, and we're gonna make it nice and bright as we go through. So I think that is it in terms of, I guess, things I wanted to throw out there. So let's get cracking. So there is one paint, I'm just gonna put this here. There is one paint containing the PR 57:1, and that is the Ladybug. The Ladybug I have labeled Roman numeral 2, and that is just that single pigment. There are no other paints containing PR 57:1. Nailed it. I'm just gonna let that live because this is a staining color and I know it's just gonna make a bigger mess. There are 2 pigments containing the pigment PR81, and they are Best Friend and Fairy Tale. So Best Friend I have labeled Roman numeral 7, and that is that single pigment PR81. The second is Fairy Tale. So Fairy Tale I have labeled Roman numeral 8, and it is also just that single pigment PI81. What is next? So there is one paint that contains PI170, and that is Frida. Frida I have labeled Roman numeral 9, and it is just that single pigment as well. And then there are no other paints containing PI170. Also, just as I'm saying this, when I say there's no other paints containing that, I just mean in this set of 12. You will see this again in other sets, for what it's worth. Okay, so PV23. So there are two paints that contain PV23, and they are Royal and Mystic. Royal I have labeled Roman numeral 11, and that is the single pigment PV23. I'm sorry if there is a lot of background noise. I think there is a certain cat in the room who is now going to attempt to get my attention. So if you hear crashing noise in a minute or so, we'll just not worry about it. We're just gonna be on our merry way. And okay, that is adequate. So the other pigment with PV23 is Mystic. Mystic I have labeled Roman numeral 10, and it contains PV23 and PB81. Fun fact, I don't know if this is what PB81 looks like. I actually was not able to find out. I believe it is a cobalt color, so I just grabbed cobalt blue and said good enough. But this is probably not accurate at all. I'm just gonna throw that out there. There we go. Nailed it. What's next? Okay. Yeah. There are two paints that contain PB15:3. They are Butterfly and 70s Eyeshadow. Butterfly I have labeled Roman numeral 3, and it is just that single pigment PB15:3. There we go. The other, so 70s eyeshadow, that I have labeled Roman numeral 4. That contains PB15:3 and PG7. So just fun fact, I guess chapter 1 of the Vennstravaganza series was the Schmincke super granulating paints. Each paint in that was a combination of 2 or 3 granulating pigments. So at least at this level, it was much easier to fill everything in. But now that single pigments are involved too, it's all like the funny shapes and stuff. And clearly I am not good at coloring inside the lines, so I feel like chapter 1 had like really good rhythm, and that rhythm is now gone, and I am sorry about that. Bear with me. This set is the most single pigments for what it's worth, so hopefully this is the clunkiest. There are 2 other paints that contain PG7. They are Mermaid and Jiminy. So Mermaid, I have labeled Roman numeral 5. That is just the single pigment, PG7. Such an awkward shape. Really, really. Okay. There we go. There is one other paint that contains PY14, and that is Buzzy. Buzzy I have labeled Roman numeral 1, and it is just that single pigment, PY14. Did I skip something? I skipped something. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, we just did Mermaid, which was here. The one other color that contains the PG7 is the Jiminy, which is what I just completely blew past. So Jiminy, I have labeled Roman numeral 6. That contains PG7 and PY14. Getting ahead of myself. Okay, now we will do Buzzy. There is one other color, one other paint that contains the PY14, and that is the Buzzy. Buzzy I have labeled Roman numeral 1, and it is just that single pigment, PY14. I'll also point out, just some fun commentary while I fill this in, I have not messed up with my black square once. I just have gotten ahead of myself and just skipped paint altogether. But the black square has moved every time. So, I think we're still improving. Sorry, I am overtired, and obviously I'm a much better comedian when I am overtired. But, hey. Yeah, we'll say it works, right? Okay. There is one paint left in this set, and that is the ink. Ink I have labeled Roman numeral 12, and it contains PB27, PBK9, and PR101. There are no other paints in this set that contain PB27, PBK9, or PR101. Okay, so just a note, there are 8 single pigment paints in this set, so I just kind of want to touch on those quickly. So they are the Roman numeral 2 Ladybug, which is the PR57:1, and the Roman numeral 7 Best Friend, which is the PR81, the Roman numeral 8, which is Fairy Tale and PR81, the Roman numeral 9, which is Frida, PR170, the Roman numeral 11, which is Royal, PV23, the Roman numeral 3, which is Butterfly, PB15:3, Roman numeral 5, which is Mermaid, PG7, and then Roman numeral 1, Buzzy, which is PY14. This is by far the most single pigment paints in any of the sets that we will look at. So from here, all of the Venn diagrams are going to be a bit more complicated and exciting. So friendly reminder, if you do want to see the high-res scans of these pages, please do check out my blog at gingersnapshot.wordpress.com. I did leave a link for it in the description. It will take you straight to where the scans will be for your viewing pleasure. My question for you, my fellow mask makers, is what do you think of the schedule? Do you want to see the Odyssey, Woodlands, and Essence sets, or do you feel like maybe the first 7 sets that we go through are sufficient? Please do let me know. I really am curious and or not sure myself, so your feedback is important. And that is all. So any questions, concerns, sarcastic remarks, please do not be shy. Otherwise, until next time, take care.